In a resolution adopted in 2007, the General Assembly of the United Nations expressed its conviction that the New York Convention inspires confidence in the rule of law and requested that further efforts be made to ensure the effective application and uniform interpretation of the Convention. On that basis, the Secretariat of UNCITRAL undertook the preparation of a guide on the interpretation and application of the New York Convention. The conclusions reached by the international experts retained by UNCITRAL confirmed that, despite the diversity of the contracting states' legal systems, the interpretation and application of the Convention has been fairly consistent and in conformity with the Convention's policy.
In 2018 marks the 60th anniversary of the New York Convention on the Recognition and Enforcement of Foreign Arbitral Awards. In 1958, the world was experiencing a new era of increased economic interdependence. It was paramount to have an improved legal framework for the facilitation of international trade and investment. Key to this framework was a unified regime for the effective circulation of international arbitral awards. Their main innovation: no longer would awards be enforced through a two-layer recognition process known as double exequatur. First, in both the country where the award was rendered, and then in the country of enforcement, as was the situation under the Convention's predecessor, the 1927 Geneva Convention. Peter Sanders, the representative of the Dutch delegation in 1958, recalls how the Dutch proposal to eliminate double exequatur was received by the delegates with great enthusiasm.
But the main elements of the Dutch proposal were, first of all, the elimination of the double exequatur. And it seemed logical not to require two exequaturs, but only in the country where enforcement is sought. Why should you ask it also in the country where the award has been made?
The New York Convention is the cornerstone of the international arbitration system and continues to structure international arbitration on a worldwide basis. The genius of the Convention is to have included its own mechanism for adapting to the future development of international arbitration. It allows state parties to adopt more liberal requirements than those of the Convention. The Convention sets a ceiling or maximum level of control which national courts may exert over the recognition and enforcement of awards.
At the conclusion of the United Nations Conference, the Convention was opened for signature on June 10, 1958. From 24 signatories in 1958, today the Convention boasts an astonishing 159 state parties, making it one of the most important and successful treaties in the area of international trade law. The United Nations Commission on International Trade Law, UNCITRAL, has played a pivotal role in promoting the uniform interpretation and effective implementation of the Convention.
The New York Convention Guide was prepared in cooperation with internationally renowned legal experts, Professor Emmanuel Gaillard and Professor Georges Berman. The guide was prepared following an incredible effort conducted over 7 years to collect and gather worldwide the case law and the interpretation and application of the Convention. This rich material is now made freely available on the New York Convention 1958.org website. Thanks to the efforts of our research teams and generous contributors, the New York Convention 1958.org website is the most comprehensive source and database on the New York Convention. It allows for full transparency with respect to the guide's source materials and also ensures in an effective, accountable and transparent manner equal access to justice and public access to information.
60 years after its inception, the Convention continues to fulfill its objective of facilitating the recognition and enforcement of foreign arbitral awards, and in the years to come will be the basis for the continued growth of international arbitration and create conditions in which cross-border economic exchanges can flourish. With UNCITRAL's Guide initiative, universal, free, and open access to the materials relating to the interpretation and application of the Convention finally matches the universal success of this fundamental instrument.
The Convention today is even more relevant than 60 years ago. Then the policy of peace through trade was strong, and transnational trade disputes required resolution by consensual arbitration. There was also an understanding that the rule of law, domestic and international, was an essential condition for a stable and fair society. Today, arbitration undoubtedly contributes to harmonious commercial relations. It stimulates international trade, and there remains a need more than ever for arbitration to cross national, political, and economic frontiers. Where arbitration works well, there is usually the rule of law. For the future, after 60 years of practical experience, arbitration moves forward with its own specialist procedures, always flexible and ever adaptive. All this was only possible with the New York Convention.